Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for game number 2 of EG's Idra versus Star Tails Bomber. Idra taking a phenomenal win in game 1 with incredible everything. He didn't do anything wrong, Husky. I am so pumped for this next match.
Yeah, this is the Idra that all of his fans love seeing. They wish they could see it every single time that he plays. So moving forward, man, Idra cannot, you were saying it before, cannot afford to make a single mistake. So it is time to introduce our players, one of the most hyped matches from this tournament. So please, guys, make some noise for these players. In the bottom left side, Bomber, who is going to be playing very, very well in this tournament, needs to do that again here. It is Star-Tailed Bomber.
And playing against the previous MLG champion in the right corner. Whether you love him or hate him, you definitely cannot deny his skill. It is EG's Idra.
And Sean, I just have to mention, if you are just tuning in, make sure at some point that you do see that last game that we just witnessed. It was legendary, as really Idra just played so perfect. A couple of minor things could have been slightly better for him, but if he's able to take a game off of Bomber, that is not easy.
Given Bomber's history on this map, I would fully expect him to go for a very, very early command center and go for an even faster third command center on the right side. He loves to do this early expand style, and on Antigua Shipyard it is probably the best map for that. But keep in mind, look at the position of the main and the natural and the third base. It becomes very awkward to try to defend against Mutalisks in your own main, and the Mutalisk harass is what brought Bomber down in game 1.
Yeah, able to snipe both of those engineering bases. So while this game is kind of heating up over here, I do want to mention everyone at home, or if you have an internet connection, just make sure to hop on Reddit in the gaming section. There is a thread on MLG, and I've been told I will get a hug if you guys can make it as #1 on the homepage of Reddit. And you have to do that in the gaming section. And you know what? Every time I see a game at the top of Reddit, I'm just thinking esports is awesome.
And keep in mind, Husky does not get that many hugs. This is an important moment for him.
Yeah, it'll be my first hug this entire weekend, so that's going to make me feel so good. So again, it's just on Reddit in the gaming section, but I also love Starcraft Reddit, man. I was checking that actually before this match.
You also see Bomber now finishing up that one barracks, and wow, look at this. He is going to try to fake scout, and oh, Idra does not manage to fall for the bait, but look at the timing of Bomber's gas geyser. He builds his refinery on 15 right when his barracks is getting close to finish. This allows him to sneak out a command center and still get a factory with just enough money on time.
And we did see Bomber do something similar, as he did get that factory quite early and eventually swapped it out on the barracks to get that tech lab add-on. And Sean, I mean, in this situation, do you think that Bomber's still going to be playing his pretty standard crazy macro mode?
I absolutely do. I mean, even if he does have some sort of insane stylish opening plan, it always dumps right back into the 50 barracks with reactors, mass upgrades, and general patience. However, the one awesome part about Bomber is, once again, always willing to go for a base trade.
So true. And also, when those mutas were in his main, he decided, well, I'm just going to try and put on some pressure here. Not any indecision there for him at all. The expansion now for Idra is going to be up and running, continuing with massive drone production, just now transferring those drones back into gas, and are actually just putting them there for the first time, as he hasn't started that metabolic boost. Do we have a tech lab? No, we actually have a reactor here on this barracks.
And it looks like one bunker is down for Bomber. He'll be able to pick off one Zergling, and Idra, I think, very oddly went straight off into that, into the natural expansion, and Bomber, with a nice load up, unload through the bunker, successfully teleports past that little part of space.
Yeah, and even small losses like that can play a huge role in these games, because if we look at the units tab, Idra does not have any Zerglings right now, so he doesn't have a single unit sitting outside of that ramp. So something that costs 25 minerals can, you know, be worth a lot more than that. So losing that first one is not ideal for him. It also means if he wants to know exactly what's going on, he's going to have to use another larva, and these small things do play a huge role here. Now we do see the scouting once again, and it looks like Idra will see everything that's going on with this Overlord.
And there it looks like just 2 Hellions have been constructed. Is he going to make any more? It looks like he has not yet done anything. He might very well just leave these structures here until this Overlord gets picked off.
Now the 2 Hellions in the center, taking a little bit of damage from the Zerglings. That's always nice to at least get some hits off, as the Hellions can endlessly kite those non-speedlings. We do have the upgrade on the way, and
Did he see that third command center? He did not.
All right, so Idra
that
does
is
not know exactly that it's something similar to the last game, and that is absolutely right, Sean. Not seeing that is a huge deal because Idra was able to respond completely correct in the last game, but if he's expecting something different and he reacts a little bit off, then that could cost him this game.
Bomber is literally doing his trademark style again. 3 fast orbital commands, mass macro mode, and no doubt an engineering bay is right around the corner. And it doesn't even matter if you know it's coming. We saw Idra spot absolutely everything. We saw him get every Mutalisk counterattack to land just the right amount of damage on the engineering bays, and still Idra was pushed to almost the 40-minute mark.
And Idra does usually close out the games. A lot of times I've seen in his ZBT with the Mutaling, and the transitioning into those infestors does tell you when a game is getting nailed bitingly close. We do see the siege tech on the way, as well, of course. The siege tank's going to be rolling on out of here pretty soon. And I really like this from Bomber. He doesn't have an overabundance of units quite yet. More focusing on getting the add-ons, the upgrades, and working on the SCV production non-stop here for him. As a lot of players, I mean, they might make a little too much stuff here, but as the game kind of transitions into the mid-game, Bomber, I mean, no surprise, his macro is going to be spot on.
And look at this, the engineering bay is now tucked away in probably the safest spot on the map. Mutals will come from above, they will come from this right side. Rarely will they be able to sneak all the way in there. And Bomber already going for a third.
Yeah, I mean, he did have the command center, and this is a map where it's fairly easy to defend it. There are some maps that is much more difficult because, once again, you do have that choke here, and a lot of times you'll see a Zerg player get an early third, which we do see Idra getting his third at around the 9-minute mark, not the earliest possible, but just grabbing that, you know, a little bit early. And this is definitely transitioning into a macro-style game here, but, I mean, both players going to be feeling okay here because they can guard these thirds relatively easily.
Idra's Spire getting closer to completion, and this macro hatch is going to be helping him out a ton with those Zergling unit productions. But notice that Idra only has 1 evolution chamber. In the previous game, when he spotted exactly what was up, he got himself that bonus Evo chamber and was allowed to stay far ahead of Bomber in upgrades all game long. So in a sense, this entire game is slowly going to become just about who can get more upgrades up faster. Especially
on long macro games, those upgrades really pay for themselves. I mean, if a game's at 30 minutes, the cost of the upgrade, I mean, far outweighs, or basically having the upgrade far outweighs the cost. Now, we do see a second Evo chamber down for Idra. I think that's going to be an extremely good choice for him. We do have the second engineering bay going down. And Sean, I love how you mentioned the positioning of it because Bomber knows he needs to keep these tucked away. They are both, the new buildings there are both located there as well.
Looks like Bomber even pulling some Marines back. And MVP does this a lot, just leaving a lot of his units around, knowing that the front is fairly impregnable with siege tanks, bunkers, not really going to worry so much